One more thing, the Cowboys. We got to talk to Cowboys. We got to talk Jerry Jones. We got to talk CeeDee Lamb. Jerry Jones comes out and says, there's no urgency to get a deal done. CeeDee Lamb laughs at that. The next day, Jerry has to do a mea culpa. Why do we take Jerry seriously? He just says weird stuff. What I want to know is, look, nobody's talking about him. I'm talking about CeeDee Lamb or Jamar Chase missing games, but both of these guys are sitting out. It's mid-August. Is there any possibility that, like, CeeDee Lamb's not in the field week 1? Is there any possibility Jamar Chase is not in the field week 1? And I'm not just asking for my fantasy drafts coming up, Charles.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's definitely
a possibility. Too. Like, I don't think anybody's talking about this, but, and even if, let's talk about with CeeDee specifically, even, okay, let's say he reports Wednesday before week 1. What is that? He's not going to play 70 snaps, right?
Right. We talked about Reddick earlier in the pod, and this is a different situation. These are guys who have real leverage in terms of institutional knowledge. People know the player that they are, and they also know what the offenses look like when you take these guys now off the field. And the difference with Reddick is the deal Reddick lands, or where this is ultimately going for Reddick, it has the ability to make up some of the pain that is incurred with fines. CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase, they're on the Chris Jones track, where what they do can make up any of the problems they had. Fine-wise, they can afford to sit out, to miss game checks, to do things where they are losing a significant, particularly CeeDee, because CeeDee is just not there at all, where he can lose a significant amount of money. He can do a deal that is at the top of the wide receiver heap in the first
real quick,
week
Charles,
of the season.
If I'm not mistaken, on a rookie deal, you can excuse fines. You cannot do it for veterans, but you
can't do it for veterans, but you can for rookie deals. Yeah,
which they would do, obviously. I think
that's
for each of these guys, that would happen.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is, as you said, it's a different situation, dealing with the rookie. But I'm talking beyond fines. You can't forgive missed game checks. That's what I'm talking about here. So if you have a situation where CeeDee Lamb comes in and says, I'm going to skip a game, he's going to lose that money. Like, it is what it is. But as you said, he's also on a rookie deal. It's not a situation like, let's say Chris Jones, he was on a veteran deal when he skipped a game, right? That's far more painful. CeeDee Lamb can go ahead and miss some game checks if he has to ultimately get this resolved, and the next deal he signs is more than going to make up for whatever he misses.
Yeah, he's going to be in that $35 million range, same as JJ. Like,
no question.
And that's why this has been so dumb for Jerry Jones. Like, waiting never helps. Like, the price is never going to go down. Really,
Frank? They disagree. They disagree. So.
But why? Like, what upside has there been? Like, the price always goes up. It always goes up.
But that's, they don't believe that. So, and I'll give you, I will tell you, Stephen Jones straight up said when I was there, standing there talking to Stephen Jones about this whole situation, and he said, well, that's not always true. He said, we did Zach Martin last year, and do you think Zach got what he initially asked for? No. That price was not where it was when Zach initially wanted his deal adjusted. So in their minds, they're like, it doesn't necessarily always go up. It's and they know what the situation is. Steven straight up said, look, we've got a quarterback who's wants $60 million. We've got two other guys who want to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the game, which is 35. They know they're going to have to pay out this money, but how they dole it up is really what ultimately matters. So I do think there's an element here of saying, let's see if things change the closer we get to the season, and the longer this goes, let's see if things, start to slide in our favor once he's potentially missing it. I don't think it. I think it's precarious for them.
I can't imagine it goes. The price of the brick is going up. Let's put it that way. Real quick. Do you think either of these guys get deals? I'm talking about Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb. I know we've talked a lot about CeeDee because it's the Cowboys, but you think either of these guys get the long-term deal before opening day? Because Mike Brown came out and said with the Bengals, we really don't want to negotiate anymore. That's for the offseason. Well, I know that's dumb and people negotiate all the time. Do you think either long-term deal gets done before the season or do either of these guys miss time?
I don't think the Bengals, because of who Mike Brown is and how he's dealt financially with things before and where this is going, I think there's a chance this does not get done going into the regular season. Yeah. And I think there's still a chance that the posture that the Bengals take is, we'll just use the franchise tag. Fine. We're not going to get this done. We'll franchise tag this guy
It
when it comes
even
to
gets
that point.
worse. It just gets worse. I know.
I'm just saying that is the posture. Ultimately, I think he will trot out. I do think there's a chance that the Cowboys get done. And one of the things that makes me optimistic about this is, you go through, like I said, I'm on Camp 17, and you go through these other front offices and you talk to all these general managers, and had a chance to talk to a GM who's always dialed in on these things, always calls contracts right, always kind of knows when things are starting to move. And he said to me, and it was fairly recently, he said to me, I think the CeeDee Lamb deal gets done probably inside the next 10 days. We're still in that window. It's pushing, we're in the window of what he thought, but his confidence in it, and it's been someone who's done a ton of deals, leads me to believe he's typically right when he calls these things. So he tends to believe it's going to get done before the season starts.
So out of Dak, CeeDee, Micah Parsons, how many of these guys are Cowboys in 2025? Like, are they going to be able to get all three back? I don't see a way. I really don't. I think I'm starting to think that Dak is the guy who just kind of, they can't, because his price is going to be 60 million plus by the time he gets his leverage.
If Dak is not done, okay, and the Cowboys are very clear about this when you talk to them, that there's no end date on it right now, that there's no expiration on negotiating, and,
sure.
And they'll continue to say that until Dak comes out and says, here is the end date. Someone puts an end date out there from the standpoint of Dak himself and his representation. They continue to believe that they can get this deal done, maybe even to the season. I don't think so. I think if the regular season starts, I think Dak is no longer a Cowboy after the 2024 season, unless something crazy. Basically the Cowboys go, oh my God, wait, this was a huge mistake. Now we're going to come, and it's going to be even more than, we're talking more than 60 million APY, whatever, or Dak has some kind of change of heart. But I tend to believe the two that I have the most confidence sticking are ultimately CeeDee Lamb and Micah down the line. And I think if they have to employ a franchise tag at some point, like let's say on a Micah, I think they would do that and then slug it out in negotiations. But the one that's the most precarious is Dak, but he plays into that too. And I think he knows, and everybody across the league knows, if he goes to free agency, he absolutely 100% is getting $60 million a year.
Easy.
And he's going to have more opportunities than maybe people think. And there may even be some teams right now where you don't perceive Dak Prescott as being someone that franchise will pursue, that Dak will get pursued by that franchise. And
I'll talk about the Raiders, but what about a Seattle? What about the Jets? What about, all these teams that really don't have solidified futures at quarterback. Yeah. If you get a bidding war going on, it is going way above 60. It would blow people's minds, I think.